icebreaker. So, something related to patience I was thinking about is, has there been an impatient moment for you today? It doesn't have to be if you don't have one, but if we have any interesting stories to share, maybe today, and someone wants to share, y'all can share. Or people were just so patient and they didn't have any chaos.
Oh, I never am impatient about anything.
Oh, Graham, your voice was a little low.
Oh, okay. Let me see what I can do
Or
here.
actually, maybe it's my end.
Oh,
Oh, okay, it's better. It's better
oh, okay.
now. Yeah.
So yeah, I was going to say, oh no, I never get impatient about anything. I was on the computer. My work computer is just 20 feet away. So yeah, this afternoon I was on a call and I get this lag and my apps start you know slowing down and then it sounds like a cell phone moving out of range, the call.
No,
And
no.
yeah, no, definitely.
Wow, that's eventful.
Patience is definitely something I need to work on. Today, I'm having trouble thinking of a specific time, but I know that there's definitely times throughout the day when I can get impatient. And I feel like to some degree, impatience is kind of just built into life. It's more about tolerating it, or maybe I'll learn a little bit of a different way to look at it today. But
Yeah. When I read the topic, I was like, wisdom? What is wisdom about patience? I'm so excited to get into it. All right. I'm trying to think of something that I had today, but maybe I'll get to it towards the end. And I'll give it over to Vrajalila and Letzi for today's talk. But before that, I'd like to introduce her really quick. If you've been to Wisdom Wednesdays, this is going to be a really wonderful talk with a lot of wisdom. She's been practicing Bhakti Yoga for over 40 years now, which is very commendable, and many years traveling across Africa also and supporting the growth of spiritual communities. And she's now in a beautiful farm community in Pennsylvania. It's called Gita Nagari, and she's involved there and guiding and supporting people and helping with services. So, and professionally, she's also worked on nonviolent communication, and I've heard in helping with relationships and counseling in that way. So, very grateful to have all of that wisdom with us in this call. So, thank you, Letzi, and we're excited to hear what you have to share with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me back. I'm very grateful. Yeah, it's always a pleasure. It's always fun to do things, especially at this time of today. I have done talking about patience. This is my one, two, three, my third class for the day. My third Zoom class. So it's quite interesting to be just being able to be with devotees and devote different devotees. This morning, my class was the class I did was in Africa. I was in Ghana. The morning class, and then the afternoon class that was in actually devotees from all over the world. And so I did that from here, from my home, and then now I'm doing this one. So there's three of them today, and they're all different. Actually, the one this afternoon is this evening is Wisdom of the Sages. So and that's many different people that come on that group. So I'm here and it's fun, it's wonderful. I'm grateful to be with both, all three of you, all four of you. I usually try to do a PowerPoint because I think visuals help us to understand the themes. And this theme of patience, can be a little subtle. So I thought maybe having some pictures might help us to kind of just connect a little deeper with this, with the theme of patience. So I'm going to go right into that. Normally, what I do is I check in with all of you, but since since we did do something, an icebreaker, then I don't think I need to check in. Usually that's what I do. I check in and see, how was your week? What happened? What's a highlight from your week? But you already had an icebreaker. So we're just going to go into this presentation. I'm going to pull up, let's see if I can pull this up. Okay. So this is called from the beginning. The wisdom of patience. The wisdom of patience. And the wisdom of patience came one day. I'd been doing a grief group, and grief, when they're experiencing grief and loss, a person that's facilitating need to be very patient, because oftentimes when someone is expressing some loss, they may not be as connected with the emotions that come up with loss. And so sometimes some emotions just like pop up, and then the person might not be aware that that emotion is a part of expressing grief. And so patience is very important. And I thought, maybe I need to put a workshop together to help people to understand a little bit more about how patient we need to be with ourselves first, and then how that patience with ourselves extend to others. Ayan, is that how you pronounce your name? Ayan. Graham, thank you.
Yes.
And Mandakini, thank you. So let's get into this. Yeah, okay. So let's understand patience from a secular point of view, right? Most people, that's how they approach patience, is from our experience in the world, living in the world. So I'm gonna so I could do this here. So patience is the ability to remain calm and composed while waiting or enduring difficulties, focusing on managing time and internal reactions. Patience is inward facing, controlling your reactions to circumstances. There is a difference between patience and tolerance. Practicing patience, we have learned the skill or the tool or the art of really dealing with our emotions, dealing with how we react to different situations. Because patience, as is explained here, it's a ability to remain calm. It helps us to have certain composure, even when things are very difficult, or when things are very tormenting, or when things are just just not what we would want it to be. When we have patience, it's an internal muscle that we have developed. So that internal muscle helps us to deal with the way we would normally react to situations when they come up that we don't appreciate. That makes us uncomfortable. And so I also wanted to share what is tolerance, because as I said, many times we tend to put them together, patience and tolerance. They are a little bit different. When we start developing that muscle to be present for others, then we need to develop both tolerance and patience. So understanding tolerance. Tolerance is bearing with someone's faults or allowing our opinions with which you do not necessarily agree. So oftentimes we are in association with people that we don't agree with. And so when we're able to tolerate the situation that they may be bringing to us, or the scenarios they bring to us, or just whatever experience we may be having with that person, when we're able to tolerate without judgment, that's so easy. But being tolerant it's an outward facing, right? It's accepting others despite the disagreement. So patience is inward. Patience comes from the inside more so. Tolerance is how we're going to face those persons, how we're going to um, be with those persons even when we disagree. So most of the time, if we study conflict resolution or mediation, we learn that when people disagree, the important tool to help us to work with the disagreements is to be able to have those two people come together, or however many people, it could be many, come together and just share whatever it is that's causing the disagreements. um, so in order to be able to like be a mediator, or to be a person that is a facilitator for conflicts, tolerance is very, very important, because many times we will, especially with conflicts, be dealing with disagreements. We have to tolerate for different viewpoints, lifestyles, personalities. We live in a world now. I mean, it's always been, but somehow it's prominent, more prominent now. Many different viewpoints, many different lifestyles, many different personalities, and we need to interact with those persons. So, how do we tolerate? Not in a sense, we hear this word tolerate, we sometimes think of it negatively, like putting somebody down, making somebody less than, or minimizing another person. No, it's actually being able to not agree, but be present for the person, right? We don't allow our opinions to interfere in the relationship. And so tolerance is not apathy, right? It's not just don't want to participate, being sad or disturbed or whatever. It's a conscious, strong choice to respect differences. So there is a difference between patience and tolerance. At the same time, they go together. They're muscles that we need to develop when we want to have relationships with people in the world. So this is pretty much the understanding from our worldview um, point, from any wherever we may come from. These are the explanations or the understanding of these two different way of how we can be in life. However, there are different. So let me just go back a little bit to understanding more about ourselves. So when we start thinking about ourselves, I got a call, for example, yes, today. Was it today? Yeah, today. And this devotee, I was on WhatsApp, and apparently the devotee saw that I was on WhatsApp. And the devotee said, devotee was at work. And the devotee said, "What are you doing now?" It was a little early for me in terms of being on WhatsApp. It was like 10 o'clock in the morning or 10:30. The devotee said, "What are you doing now?" And I was like, "Well, I am talking to you, and there's several things that I haven't yet done in my morning, right?" And I was expressing to her spiritually, I haven't finished my rounds. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. I hadn't finished my rounds. Emotionally, I hadn't finished my journal. I usually write in the mornings. Um, Physically, I try to do something, physically with my body or with my mind, whatever. Mainly physically was with my body. And then mentally, I try to understand a little bit about what's going on in the world. And I try to do all of those things really by 10 o'clock in the morning, so that then I can be present for other people. But it just happened yesterday morning. I had not done most of those things that I said and to her. And I said, so I got to get off the call. I got to turn off my phone because I need to, step into myself, into my world, which means that I need to be present to those things for my world. And so when we practice, just being present to ourselves, then we do start understanding more about how to be patient with ourselves, how to tolerate different things about our own self that we don't agree with. For example, I didn't agree that I, should be on the phone, that I was on the phone at that time in the morning, hadn't finished caring for myself in all those four ways. but yet I was able to respect that, you know, there was this choice I had made with myself. And so tolerance can be actually something that we can experience with our own self. We don't have to go to somewhere else. Now, spiritually, it's important for us to know um, all of these things that we learn in the world are represented spiritually. So patience is something we need to practice to live in this world with other people. Tolerance also, we need to learn that. Now let's try to understand this patience from a spiritual perspective. So patience is spiritual strength. The Bhagavad Gita uses a specific Sanskrit term, dharya, often translated as patience or forbearance. However, this word carries deeper meaning. It suggests the courage to endure and the strength to persist with patience. And as you can see, those maybe some of you might not be aware of this picture. This is Kunti Devi, and she had 5 sons that she had to care for after her husband died. And her 5 sons had gone through tremendous abuse in the family situation and their whole family life. And she was that mother that had so much faith in God, in Krishna, and she had so much courage to assist her son, to be with her sons during all the struggles that they were going through. She was such a person of patience that she is a personality that is revered in our Srimad Bhagavatam. Her story is told over and over and over and over again to help us to understand how important this word, this how important the word Daria, patience, how important that is to practice, not just to know, not just to hear the word patience, but and not just to think, well, I am a patient person. It really means how am I able to persist, even though situations might not in any way be complementary to the things that we may want in our lives. And throughout their lives, throughout her children's lives, from growing up from young kids, they experienced so much struggle. And she was always present, being patient with them and with the people also that was causing the struggle, that was causing them to have so much struggle. Patience is, Daria, that's the word again, is presented as a crucial, active spiritual strength, not like just waiting. Sometimes we think, oh, I'm just going to be patient and wait for this person. No, that's not what patience. I mean, that's a one way of how people might understand patience. However, spiritually, it is defined as remaining calm and focused, controlling the mind to immediate results. We can learn about this more from the 3rd chapter in Bhagavad Gita, how to do this. Krishna instructs Arjuna about how to control the mind, how to go on doing the duties that we may have without expecting results from those duties that we are engaged in or those sacrifices. Krishna himself, he identifies patience as a divine quality, part of his own opulence, necessary to navigate life's challenges and essential for devotional service because it allows for trust and help us with divine timing. So, you know, many people in our conditioned state in the world that are not engaged in devotional service, they are very leery about trusting. Even sometimes when we come to devotional life, because engaging in devotional life, it's like It's like a fan, like when we have a fan and the fan is plugged in and we take the fan out, we pull it out. When we pull that fan out of the socket, the fan keeps going for some time until it stops. So when we come to devotional life, it's like that. Our desires, our material desires, they're still there and they're there for some time. They get minimized more and more and more as we engage in devotional service. As we engage more in devotional service, we start trusting more and we start accepting patiently that everything is being arranged in its own divine timing and Krishna's divine timing. We start accepting that. And so we become a little bit more peaceful in our lives. And devotional service simply means pleasing Krishna in some way, pleasing God in some way. Um, of course, as far as our tradition, there are different ways that we can please God, but simply just thinking about God, simply just offering prayers to God is one way of engaging in devotional service. And in order to do this, patience is an important part of how we develop these qualities. Develop this patience as is a divine quality, and how we develop these qualities because they are a part of Krishna's opulence, right? They're part of who Krishna is. Krishna is the most patient. We can understand that because here we are in the material world. We're attached to our senses. We're attached to wanting to enjoy life. We're attached to trying to make things, do whatever, all the things that we may want in this life. And they may not be the best thing for us always, but Krishna is patiently waiting, just waiting for us to talk, to turn to him. And as soon as we turn to him, as soon as we turn to Radharani, as soon as we turn to them both, then our whole life changes. And I'm sure all of you have experienced that here on this call. Okay, in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a verse, and it says, Mrityu sarvam harashchaham, ubhavascha bhavishyatam, kirti shri vachanarinam, smritir medha dristi shama. This verse translates, I am all devouring death to be. Among women, I am fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience. So we just recently celebrated Mother's Day. Mothers are revered. We know that, different types of mothers. However, in general, mothers are known for their patience. Mothers will support their children no matter what they do, usually, in most cases, unless if they're not a toxic mother. If they're toxic, then that might be different. But in general, mothers, they have this quality of patience. That quality that they have comes from Krishna, right? And so this quality is specific to women. Women normally become, and Krishna says, among the women, this is who I am. I am fame. So as you know, in the world, women can become very famous, wealthy. They generally, in most cases, if they're not toxic, they don't speak harshly. They speak nicely, kindly. Their intelligence is fine. Their memory, their steadfastness, and most importantly, their patience. These are qualities that are given to women by the Lord. The Lord himself had these qualities. So patience being one of the most important. The Bhagavatam teaches that patience is a sweet submission to the will of God and a vital component of spiritual maturity. Sweet submission to the will of God. And that means ultimately, if we have a mood of accepting Krishna as our shelter, as our guide, as that person that we know that we can fully depend on that person, then we will develop that mood of patience. It will automatically come because this is a part of who God is. This is, you know, by simply surrendering or submitting in this case, by remembering that we are simply servants of the Lord, simply servants of God, then that will help with our spiritual maturity. And as we become spiritually mature, that quality of patience will automatically develop within us. I was listening to a class recently by His Holiness Radhanath Swami, and he was speaking in England, I think, and he was sharing with the devotees there. He said it was Janmashtami, and he said, the only reason that I am here on Janmashtami is just so I can bow down to all of you devotees. Because and then he was just, he was sharing, because devotees, their desire to please Krishna, is what's most important. And he was saying the devotees in England, that's their, that's their desire. That's who they are. That's who they're exemplary of, wanting to serve Krishna. And so this sweet submission to the will of Krishna is very attractive. It's very beautiful. It attracts even very highly saintly devotees. And so this component of spiritual maturity helps us to, a part of it is to be patient, to understand this mood of being patient. And again, it's a muscle that has to be developed. So what is it that impacts patience? Generally, according to the scriptures, there are three gunas, or three. My internet, sorry. Okay, the modes of there are three modes. There are three modes, and these modes can impact our patients on a daily basis. So the mode of ignorance, right? That's like, it can engender this false patience. Because when we're in ignorance, it's very difficult to be patient. We may try to act like we're patient, but it won't be authentic if we're in a mode of goodness. The mode of passion is an enemy to patience, because in the mode of passion, we're constantly wanting to, control things, to be on the move with things. We're constantly trying to get things done. We're not taking the time that that we need to maybe be patient with things that happens in our lives, if we have this mood of rajas, right, of passion. And then, of course, the mode of sattva, which is the mode of goodness. This mode is a mode that is the foundation for true patience. This mode gives us more clarity, more peace, more natural patience. And so how do we develop this mood of sattva? How do we come to this mood of goodness in our lives? Well, just by hearing, as we're doing now, hearing about the Lord, hearing about these kind of qualities. Once we start hearing about these qualities of a human being, and we start incorporating these qualities in our lives practically, then we start entering more into the mood of sattva, the mode of sattva. We are in rajas or tamas, the mode of ignorance and passion. We're constantly thinking, I am doing this. I am making this happen. It's very, very difficult to develop patience in those modes. Now, these modes, we can understand more about them in the, I think, 16th or 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. There's an entire chapter that can help us to understand. This is the wisdom of understanding patience. The wisdom comes from the Bhagavad Gita. Because anything that we learn in this world about patience that is not based on scripture, scriptural reference, it's generally temporary. It's generally it's generally not it will maybe help. It's like when we take some medicine, it might, if we have pain and we take a medicine, it might ease the pain for a bit, but then the pain will come back. And so in the material world, um, whatever we learn, if there isn't God in the picture, those things that we learn, they will come back. They will give us some short relief, but then they will come back and make our life miserable. That's just how it works in the material world. Okay, so practicing patience with ourselves, that's really important. So one of the persons that I practice with this person. This is a person that teaches self-compassion. And this is a person that is within the material world. I think she might be possibly a practicing Buddhist, I think. However, this person also has some understanding of God. May not have the same as a bhakti practitioner. However, she has an understanding. So she says, whenever I notice something I don't like about myself, or whenever something goes wrong in my life, I silently repeat the following phrases. This is a moment of suffering. Suffering is part of life. May I be kind to myself in this moment. May I give myself the compassion I need. In order to practice patience, we need to be really compassionate with ourselves. We need to be kind with ourselves. Because if we don't have these qualities with ourselves, it will be very difficult to express them with others. We won't be patient with others. Therefore, we do always need to take time to introspect with ourselves. When I see something I don't like about myself, which means if I am not practicing patience, when I am being impatient, if something is going wrong and I'm being impatient, and those of you that are in some profession, you know things go wrong all the time. And so that's the time when we need to give ourselves compassion. And that's a practice also to give, to introspect and to remind myself that I can care for myself. Why do we want why do we want to care for ourselves? Who is the self that we're caring for? Because we know there's a self that's the body, the mind, and the intelligence, and the false ego. Certainly, that self needs to be cared for. The spiritual self most definitely needs to be cared for. Most of the time, we know how to care about the spiritual self. We know the tools. We have the tools. Chant Hare Krishna, or whatever practice we may have spiritually. Hear about the Lord, glorify the Lord, do service for the Lord, serve the Lord's devotees. We know to develop our spiritual self. However, we don't often spend time developing that part of ourselves that we live with every day, our bodies, our minds, our intelligence, our false ego. And so the spiritual technologies also apply for sure. However, most of the time, what we do is we're beating ourselves up because we don't like things about ourselves, or because things go wrong in our lives that we think should not go wrong. And so, in order for us to connect with that spiritual part of ourselves, it's really important for us to start practicing kindness, to that part, to that physical, if you will, that physical side of ourselves. Patience in relationship is a duty. So each difficult person is a spiritual teacher. When we experience somebody that's really difficult in our lives, it's not that their timing isn't wrong. It's just different, right? Each person is a spiritual teacher. So when they do something that maybe hits us in the wrong way, or disturbs our mind, or maybe even disturb our intelligence, if we can look at it, we can develop patience by looking at it that this person is just being different. I wouldn't approach it like this. They're doing this differently than I would do, as opposed to judging it. They're wrong. This is not the way to do it. This is not acceptable. So to accept others' dharma cultivates the patience. Every one of us have our different dharma in this life. Everyone has some occupation that we want to offer in service. And so if we're able to respect others for their dharma, for example, not today this happens so much, but let's say a doctor might not respect the musician, right? And so, and I'll take that a little further. A parent might want the child to be a doctor as opposed to a musician, right? The parent might not value the arts, they value academics. So it's not that they're wrong, it's just that they're seeing it differently. Because maybe the dharma of the child is to really be involved in the arts, but the parent may not see it like that. So the thing is, how do we learn? Because we may not be able to change our parents, but how do we start understanding and practicing how to cultivate this acceptance for people and their dharma? How do we not carry on the same legacy of our parents that we know cause us to be miserable? And so, yeah, patience in relationship is a duty. It's important. There's Mother Teresa. She says, without patience, we will learn less in life. We will see less. We will feel less. We will hear less. Ironically, rush and more. So that's maybe the English here would be rushing, doing things that rushing always, and wanting more and more and more. Usually mean, I think that's a lack. What does that say on the bottom there? Someone?
Usually mean less.
Usually mean less. Perfect. Thank you. Um, yeah. So when we think that we're gonna rush and do something and get something done, you know, um, it usually means less, means that somewhere or other time, Krishna's time, the time factor, somewhere or other, Krishna will trick us with time because that's just what Krishna does. And so the more we're able to take time and to see everything we do as time, as Krishna, then the more we will be and practice patience, then the more we will actually get more done as opposed to less, right? We all want to get more. However, we don't usually have the technology to know that that time is only working for me if I can understand that quality of Krishna, which is patience. Okay, so now let's go to impatience. So we started with having that icebreaker of impatience. So the Bhagavad Gita doesn't just tell us to be patient. It also reveals why impatient comes, why we're impatient. So understanding these roots help us to address the cause, not just manage symptoms. So Krishna, he describes divine and demoniac qualities in chapter 16. And around the demoniac, I, I this is the quality of demoniac people. I am the doer. I will gain this. I will PowerPoint. I can't see that bottom part, that bottom sentence I wrote there, even though I wrote it. What is it, Prabhu?
I am the doer. I will gain this. I will enjoy. See the pattern. I.
Uh, well, wonderful. So that's where impatience comes from. Impatience comes from when we're thinking everything is about me, is all about me. My spiritual master has an amazing quote where he says, think less of yourself. Think less. I can't remember the quote, right? The whole quote. But anyway, there's a quote, Bhakti Maharaj, that he says, don't think, don't think of yourself more, but think less of yourself, meaning we're not the enjoyer, we're not the doer, we're not the ones that can change things in our lives or people's lives. This is actually coming from the mercy of those devotees, those persons that take us under their wing and help us and guide us, ultimately coming from Krishna. So when we take this I out of our language, and we at least make it we, whatever we say, we, even the person we might not be somebody that's actually a real person. But if we develop that consciousness of language where we are understanding that it's not just me, it's not just about me, it's not just I, then we will start actually develop patience. And we will, this impatience to think we're the ones to get things done, we're the ones that's making everything happen. Yeah, that will become minimized more and more and more. So the Bhagavad Gita's ultimate solution to impatience comes through bhakti, through devotion. When we start developing love for Radharani and Krishna, and when that starts awakening, then patience, it's not cultivated, it just happens. When we start like really, just in terms of being a student, when we start really putting in our conscious, saying to ourselves, I am studying whatever it is that I'm studying because I will offer this to Krishna, right? Whatever it might be, it's offerable to Krishna. We're doing it on behalf of Krishna. Krishna will give us, because Krishna says, I am the source of remembrance and forgetfulness. He'll give us the remembrance of how to study, what to study. He will help us in our endeavors the more we become aware that this is an offering for Krishna. Patience then becomes a part of our lives. It just happens. It will naturally be cultivated by the practice of bhakti, engaging in devotional service. So I think that's my last slide. No, maybe I have two more slides. Um, Beyond all effort lies the recognition that we are not the doer. And surrendering to Lord Krishna's will, brings patience beyond what personal effort we can achieve. Anything that we think we can do, Krishna knows how to do it better, and he can help us to do it better. So ultimately, patience is about surrendering. And surrender is that word that can often makes people scared. Like, what? Surrender? I mean, no way. I'm trying to, get my degree, or I'm trying to, get my house, or I'm trying to, whatever it might be that we're trying to do in life. So surrender doesn't mean giving up those things. Surrender simply means that we do those things and putting Krishna in the center. So it's like, having a triangle. There's you or me, whoever. On the other side of the triangle is whatever we're trying to do, whatever we're trying to achieve. And on the top of that triangle is Krishna, is God. And that we can, no matter how we try to avoid or not bring God as a focus in our lives, God will find, especially if God is really trying to give us mercy, then he'll make our lives, not God will make this, but material life will make our lives miserable, specifically so that we can turn to God. Because God is loving and he's wanting all of us to turn to him. So patience really means to surrender. That's the wisdom of patience. And so we're going to talk now about what area of your life are you struggling to demonstrate patience? Is there a particular person with whom you find it difficult to be patient? How does your impatience manifest itself? Is it in anger, annoyance, sarcasm, judgment, discontentment? And what's the underlying reason for your impatience? Is it pride? Is it control? Is it comfort? Is it fear? Is it selfishness? Is it distrust? So these are some of the questions from this topic tonight. I know we won't be able to discuss all three of them. So I want to close this PowerPoint and just perhaps we can talk about what area of your life that you might struggle with patience. And is there a person that you find difficult to be patient with. Okay, so I'm going to stop the share and uh, yeah, okay. Hari bol. That was our little PowerPoint about patience. And now we're open for discussion. You can share whatever you would like to share. And you can perhaps, if you like, answer one of those questions.
Thank you. I really enjoyed learning about how patience is not just like an at moment thing, but also what you've been practicing that can manifest in the way you interact with people, and learning about the modes of nature and how that can have an impact. And it just made me feel like it's something that I can work on. Like it's a muscle and it's not just like you're just an impatient person, you know? So I liked knowing that there are tools to help with that. I was thinking of, on top of my mind, it's harder to be patient with people I'm more familiar with. I would say maybe my family members. Sometimes it's just like you're so familiar. It's like, oh, they don't care how I talk to them. And sometimes it even feels like, oh, it's like a loving exchange of me like talking like that just because I've been doing that or I'm impatient. But I find it hard, and I think it manifests in like more of annoyance. And then after that, I don't feel so good. And then I'm like, I'm patient sometimes, but why can't I be patient in this scenario? So that's just something I struggle with sometimes when it's people I know and are more in contact with.
Thank you for sharing that. Those are the people that helps us to grow the most, right? Those that we're closest with, the ones that Krishna put right in our front page. Those persons, they help us to learn, to grow and understand, yeah, why to practice patience with them. I see Holly has her hand up. Yes, Holly.
Um, Thank you, both of you. Manya, it's interesting. I totally understand having more struggle with patience with the people you're most familiar with. And recently I've been struggling with patience with some people I don't know really. I have a condo that is an apartment, and I have some new neighbors, that are tenants that moved in about a month ago, and they smoke pot and they scream at each other. And not just a few times that's happened, probably the stress of their move. It was soon after they moved in. But I found myself angry and judgmental and really lacking patience and compassion for these people. And I'm trying to transform that. But it they're people that it's kind of the opposite of what Manya was saying. They're like complete strangers to me. And yet they're my new neighbors. Um, but this was their first impression to me, and I guess it hits hard because it's my home environment that's being affected, where I should be able to be most comfortable. Um, so I'm working on transforming those quote unquote negative feelings. And yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah, people come in our spaces, right? And we have an idea of how we want our space to be. And then somebody just comes in like, whoa. And then we react normally to whatever has come that's difficult in our situation. So thank you. Thank you. Something that I thought about when you were speaking is sometimes behaviors of people is really difficult to accept. However, we are so fortunate that we understand that a person is not necessarily, they're not their behavior, that they're different than their behavior. We know that, and that's like a great boon for us, like a great mercy that somehow or other we can kind of soothe ourselves by remembering, oh, this person is a spirit soul. Krishna, please, please, please help me to remember that somehow They're not this behavior, even though we accept that we don't appreciate the behavior. And sometimes we really need to dialogue with people and let them know, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, of course, I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying sometimes that's helpful for us. That's a part of patience also, is to be authentically able to present ourselves for our own values and belief systems. And sometimes that's very helpful to people because sometimes people don't understand how their behaviors affect others
Yes.
or the impact it might have on others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Anyone else would like to share what came up for you, Graham, Prabhu?
Well, I want to preface this by quoting. I had a long time ago. I had a supervisor that she had a saying on her desk in a cube. It said, "Don't tolerate diversity, celebrate it." And I think this is in response also to Manya's comment as well as Holly's. Um, yeah, when you have somebody who's disruptive in their behavior, yeah, it tests your patience. In my particular case, I have a big issue with just intolerant people. And without getting political, um, there are some people that just think that, okay, when I look at everybody here, uh, I see points of light. I don't see race or necessarily gender. I see human entities who are all striving for the same thing. And when I see somebody else just, oh no, that person's skin is the wrong color, or they dress weird, or there's something they're a little bit different, and I have a big problem with that. So that's where, um, I mean, rage, anger erupts in me when and it's not necessarily people that are in my life, but more public figures. And again, I'm not going to get political.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Graham. You know, in this world we live in, unfortunately, ignorance and passion are predominant in people. Their consciousness is just conditioned by those modes, you know, and it's hard when we get into being in the mode of goodness to appreciate those persons that are in the mode of that are acting out of ignorance or acting out of passion, because firstly we know they're hurting themselves, right? So there's a really beautiful story. There's a beautiful story. I'm sure you're aware of the story of Prahlad, the boy that was very much victimized by his father, Hiranyakashipu. And when Hiranyakashipu, I'm sorry, yeah, Lord, his father is Nishimha. And so when Hiranyakashipu was killed, this demon, when he was killed, and this he was, and Prahlad was asked, what can I give to you, right? What blessings can I give you? Prahlad's prayer was that all of the people on the planet, he prayed for everyone in the world to be pacified. He prayed that all beings, be like healed, all beings, So that's a very advanced consciousness to have, is when we are in distress and when we are disturbed, that we pray for those persons. However, when we talk about patience, patience, as we said, it really means surrender. And surrender means to develop those qualities within ourselves that can impact other people in a wonderful way. So if we kind of go to their level in terms of them being in the ignorance and the passion, then we're not so much going to help them. However, if we can be an example ourselves of being in another mode, which is goodness, which has qualities of patience and tolerance, and if we can exemplify that, then perhaps that could have some small effect on some people. Not certainly, there will always be people that will be in the mode of ignorance and passion. That's just the way the world is set up. However, the what happens for us when we dive in deeper and deeper and deeper in wanting to know God, to know, be aware of God, then God starts empowering us to make a difference in people's lives. And that's the key, right? Is how can I make a difference in this person's life? If we don't focus so much on how annoying their behavior might be, or how disturbing or distracting, or how angry we might get at times, and we focus a little more on what can I do, to assist such persons. And in most cases, it's just by our example. In most cases, just who we are. Just sometimes, just when we see, like sometimes we're in a line, you see people just acting ignorantly, right? In lines. People like to act ignorant in lines when you have to form lines for something. And if you're just peaceful and calm and have a little smile, then they just wonder, what's up with this person? Why aren't they acting like me? And that can really make a bit of an impact. So it's a practice, but you're in the right company. You have so many wonderful people around you. Uh, yeah, you have Mandakini. She's such a sweet young lady. So persons like her remind us, yeah, how to care about others. Because people are suffering. They're suffering. They're suffering. I mean, the reason somebody is smoking marijuana and the reason they're, acting the way they're acting, because they're miserable. They're suffering. And they're trying to find a way to just ease the pain. And that's the reality of the world. Okay, I think we are at that time. Thank you so much, Graham, for sharing. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Holly, for sharing. Mandakini, I think we're at that time. For me, it's 10 o'clock at night.
All right.
Thank you for staying up so late.
Thank you so much, Matsi. Thank you for staying up late. And we're just so grateful to have you. And we'll let you go because I know it's a little late, but we're counting down the days until you're back and we can get your association. I've sent a few links in the chat. We have a popular kirtan singer coming, Madhava Das, and he'll be having a mermaid retreat. And it's a 1 day event. It's in the summer, so it'll be on June 14th and June 13th and June 14th, different timings. You can check out the Eventbrite. Highly recommend if you guys are in town. And yeah, Ian, anything else you wanted to add that I missed?
Yeah, we have Kirtan every Saturday. So we have Kirtan this Saturday, the Saturday after that, the Saturday after that, and the Saturday after that. So yeah, we'd love for all of you to join us. If not all of you, some of you, and if not some of you, hopefully we'll see you next week on Wisdom Wednesday. Thank you, Mandakini.
All right. Thank you. See you
Thank you.
all.
Yeah, and I see Dana. Dana is here. She didn't speak, but we're happy, Dana, that you're
Thank
here with
you.
us.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Haribol.
Haribol.
See you
Haribol. And Ayan,
Nice.
thank you.
all.
Dana, you wanted to say something?
Oh, I was gonna say I sent you a message, Holly, because I completely resonate. I'm going through a very similar issue, and you're not alone in that. So
Thank
it's
you.
thank you for sharing, and thank you very much for this wonderful session. I was happy to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Dana.
Very-
And nice to have you, Holly. I think it was your first time. Welcome. And we have this every Wednesday, so consider
Great.
this your home away from home, kind of.
Holly, you look so familiar.
Thank you. I get that a lot.
Yeah.
I went to one kirtan at the studio at Bhakti Studio
Okay.
maybe 6 to 8 months ago,
Oh,
and I just haven't had a chance to get back there, but I would like to. So,
Yeah, please try to make it for the
Where are you?
Madhava event. It'll be super
yes, I
wonderful.
just opened the link and I will put it on my calendar. Yeah.
Do you live in the area? You live in Seattle?
I live in Seattle, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, and thank you for engaging me. Thank you, Mandakini.
Thank you.
see
Haribol.
you all next week.
Okay. Okay, I'll see you another time. Just let me know when.